All right, here we go. Salute to NBA Nation on this Wednesday afternoon. Another edition of the NBA Report. CP the Franchise, Alex Sotaros. We got the 1-2 combo in the building. Andrew Salop. On today's episode, in-season tournament madness. We're going to recap a wild night on the NBA in-season tournament. Plus, Mark Cuban selling the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to get into that. A little bit of a surprise news coming out of there. And Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson firing back at the critics and the haters after a slow start to the season. So we got a lot to discuss. Let's get into it. Lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Another edition of the NBA Report. Presented by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. All right, fellas, let's get right into it. I thought this was going to be the night to really swing things for this tournament in terms of the interest and the popularity. It was the final night of group play, ramifications on the line in several games. And I was into it. I mean, Al, we talked about it on KFTV. We're watching Knicks versus Charlotte, but at the same time, you're doing live looks into Milwaukee and the Miami Heat because the Knicks were trying to win Group B. Milwaukee Bucks in the lead for Group B, so you're trying to see what's happening there. Point differentials. The Knicks needed some point differentials to win the wild card, so you're looking at that as well. I thought it was great, man. You ended up having the Knicks washing the Hornets. You had the Bulls, the Celtics destroying the Bulls. And in a game where the Celtics are up by damn near 30, you're getting a hack of Andre Drummond situation, right? I mean, you had that. You go to the West Coast, the final game of the night, the best game of the night, you had a playoff-like atmosphere between the Kings and the Warriors, Golden One Center rocking. And as it would come down to it, Golden State needing to win by 12 to win their group, or Sacramento needing to win the game or lose by less than 12 to win the group in the midst of a budding rivalry. I mean, it was playoff-like atmosphere in that game. That game was crazy. Obviously, you had the Miami and Milwaukee game getting close. But listen, man, all in all, I think this was a success. And so you got Knicks and Bucks on Tuesday, Pacers, Celtics. You got Lakers and Suns, Kings and Pelicans, the final 8. Al, what's your thoughts on this one, man?
I loved everything about the in-season tournament. I'm glad that you came to the dark side, CP, because you were a curmudgeon to start off when you heard about it. You're like, oh, what are we going to do with this? This is nonsense. We should have left it the way that it was.
Yeah,
you were on your get off my lawn mode for a little bit, but now that you see the excitement in it, I'm happy that you came to the dark side. And look, as you mentioned, we got a playoff-like atmosphere when it came to the Kings and Warriors. That thing went down to the final seconds, right? And I know we're going to get more into that game, but I just like how it's breaking up the season, CP and Andrew. This is like a great way to change like the monotony of the 82-game season. Look, without it, we'd be talking about the league, and it's like, oh, well, you know, we have the Hornets and whoever on a regular Tuesday night meaning nothing, but you know, we have a Knicks and a Hornets game that means something, and it's just insane how one tweak to the NBA schedule can create something more important. And you see, like we heard from Jalen, Julius, and RJ last night, that these guys wanted to do it for their teammates, for the guys at the end of the bench, for the assistant coaches, you know, for $500,000 and then some. It means something to these guys. They want to show that they are appreciative of everyone who puts in the time and the effort to make these teams go. And you even hear when we talked to Caitlin Cooper earlier this week, for a team like the Pacers, a team that hasn't been in the playoffs, this is just good experience because you're talking about a pressure cooker type situation where these guys get experience, they get to move on, and then it helps them grow as a team. So I'm all for it. I love everything about the in-season tournament. I'm looking forward to see how it evolves over the next couple of years because this is only the foundation, but everything so far, I've been a big fan of.
Yeah, great launch. And I mean, over time, when this thing gets some history, it's only going to get even better. And to your point, Alex, like the Pacers and the Orlando Magic, they're not legit contenders yet, but they're getting better, and it gives them something to play for. I think it's been absolutely fantastic. I know everybody's down on the courts, but I kind of like the courts, man. I think the courts are fun. It's been really fun. you're either getting better or you're getting worse. Nothing stays the same. They added the play-ins. They added this midseason tournament. Everything has been great about it. I know whenever you bring something new, there's a little bit of skepticism, but I think this is a big win for the NBA.
I mean, I think the league gets everything that they want here. You have your big market teams. You got New York in it. You got Boston. You got LA. You've got LeBron potentially going to Vegas, the stage. Will he get the Vegas team when they expand? You have that. So you got the Lakers in there. You got the Celtics, the history. You've got, you've got young stars, right? I mean, you have regular stars. You got KD, you got LeBron in that matchup, Lakers Suns. First to kick it off. You got Tatum. Who else you got in here? Devin Booker. Then you got your young stars, right? You got Zion in the mix. You got Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Randall, RJ Barrett, the Knicks big three in the mix. I got to drop that in there. We got to salute our guys. You got the Aaron Fox. So you got a mix, man. You got a mix. You got the old guard, the rising stars, your established teams, popular teams, and teams on the rise. You got the Pacers in there. You have Pelicans. You have Knicks. As you just said, Alex, teams that have something to play for and maybe want to add that, to their resume and as a chemistry builder. I think this is perfect for the league, man. And like I said, that Kings-Warriors game, that's exactly what they needed to sell this thing. That's exactly what you needed to sell this thing. And even Celtics Bulls, I mean, to see how these teams were trying to play this thing and strategize to get their points, it was a big night for the league. I thought it was a big night.
Playoff atmosphere for sure.
Yeah, and to add on to that, CP, think about it, like even for LeBron James for the in-season tournament, don't you want to add that to your resume? You got every single award, a lot of other credentials, a lot of other accolades. Now there's a new thing to the league. Don't you think he's thinking, that's another notch in the belt that I could add right there if I get this in-season tournament? Others may think it's nothing, but for him, you talk about a legacy, being a first player to do it. Even I think that's
something else for LeBron to brag about.
Yeah. And when he gets eliminated, it was really nothing to begin with.
Andrew, go ahead.
So my thing is that who's going to win MVP of this tournament? I think that's another notch for an individual player that we're going to see. I want to see what Halliburton could do. I want to see one of these guys. Yeah, I want to see one of these guys that haven't got the chance to be like in the MVP mix. Maybe we see like a younger MVP. I mean, that's pretty cool to be the first MVP. I'm going to call it the NBA Cup. The first MVP, of the NBA Cup. That sounds really cool. Like, I like it.
Listen, it could be Halliburton. You never know. Maybe it's Zion if the Pelicans make it. I like it. You got a bunch of random teams in there. You have some contenders in there. And it's adding to the parity of the league. I think even for the NBA Finals, you've got some parity there. You got a lot of teams that can make a case. Still a young season. You never know what can happen. The champs have some adversity right now with no Jamal Murray. They're trying to get back into the mix. The Clippers trying to get it together. Lakers trying to find their groove. Will they go get DeRozan? Will they get Levine? So I think there's parity for the finals, and now you have parity for the NBA Cup. I think it's a win for the league, especially when you look at how well the play-in tournament did last year. Now you have the in-season tournament adding intrigue in November. That was definitely a win. What did you guys think? Al, I'll start with you. What did you guys think about, first off, with the whole point differential situation? Like, some people felt like it was hard to follow. Like, did you feel that way?
It was very difficult to follow. I still have to this day no idea how it's calculated, all those things. I'm like trying to do my research to figure that out, but I think it's a great element because it changes it up for what, tiebreakers are for going into the regular NBA playoffs. For now, you're thinking about point differential. And see, we were joking about it for Tom Thibodeau on the show last night for post game. You get to have all your star players out there and just trying to run up a score, and all of this, what is customary in a blowout and what you do. It's like, oh, well, you don't run up the score. You just pull out your starters and let the third unit go in there. Now it's like, no. Everyone's in there. We're waiting until the clock hits 0. We're going to run the score up to 50 if we need to, so that way we can make it. Look, the Celtics, as you said, trying to do hack a drum in order to still get up points to keep up with the Knicks, right? And that's just how crazy this in-season tournament is. I like that element to it.
We gonna need a red zone channel for it, man. I think that's gonna be the next thing. Watch,
A red zone channel. Oh my
God, a red
God!
zone channel on the final night of group play. They're gonna have some sort of thing where you can pan into games and do a full breakdown so that you can get it. Like you might have it on, like a TNT online, digital network, or maybe it's on House of Highlights or Bleacher Report or something like that. Then you got to have something to that nature to kind of really break it down for more of the casual fan. And then Andrew, last week we talked about it in terms of the point differential and running up to score. Last night you had a situation in the Celtics Bulls game where after the Celtics did what they did, they went for it. Right? Joe Mazzulla went for it. They're up by 20-something points. They're doing a hack of drubbing in the fourth quarter. Billy Donovan is pissed off. His team is in the toilet right now, and he's getting the score run up on him. They met at half court and had a lengthy exchange. And then after the game, Billy Donovan was basically saying that Mazzulla was explaining to him why they did what they did. But Billy Donovan was kind of against it in terms of that running up with the score. You've heard other players, Jaylen Brown, saying it wasn't natural in terms of the integrity of the game. Josh Hart after the Knicks game, it felt uncomfortable doing it. Donovan Mitchell said the same thing. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
Even Tatum talked about it. We saw DeMar DeRozan get super upset. But I think the league's European players, they're probably more used to it because, as I said, when I started playing overseas and I was watching one of the games that I wasn't involved in, a team was down 20 and they were pressing full court with 1 minute left. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And that's what it is, point differential. I think it's something that you have to get used to, and maybe some of the players are taking it personal now, but over time, I think it'll pan itself out, and I love it. I think it takes away some of the garbage time element. Maybe it'll hurt load management, but it'll make some of these ends of the games interesting, especially when the fans of those teams really get into it. Yeah,
true story. And then, Al, there's a lot of talk, especially from the Knicks side of things, where you finish group play and then you're in the knockout stage and you're playing another member in your group. That is the Milwaukee Bucks. And now the Knicks have to play the Bucks 5 times. If they lose this game, I believe they'll have to play the Celtics or the loser of Celtics Pacers. And so they could potentially have to play the Bucks 5 times and the Pacers 5 times in one season. What do you think about that? Some Knicks fans are like, we caught the bad draw because we got to go to Milwaukee for this game. Might have to go to Boston for the next game. What do you think about that?
It is what it is, man. I mean, it's going to be for anybody who they have to play. I mean, what it's saying is that you're a good team, right? And if you're a good team, you should want to get the experience of playing a better team than you or someone who's in your same weight class, because at the end of the day, that's what the whole regular season is about, right? And when you get to the playoffs, you're going to have to face good teams. Now, you may be thinking about standings and stuff like that, but go out there and compete, man. At the end of the day, that's what the whole sport is about. It's not, what's the easiest road to get to the amount of wins that we get, the playoff security that we need. You got to go out there and compete, man. That's what people love sports. That's why look, you talk about the Warriors-Kings game. You're talking about two good teams coming down to the wire. That's what I enjoy. I don't want to care about all right, so what? I mean, I guess, yes. Would it be nice if you get the Hornets again, you get to go beat up on them and add to your win record? Sure, that's great. But how many times do I have to go say, all right, that's an easy night in the book for the Knicks? I can only get excited about the Knicks being the Hornets so many times. Whereas if we beat the Bucks, I think as a fan, that's more exciting just because, that means we're a good team or even a better team that we may have anticipated just because we're competing with someone at the top end level. So I'm all for it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I would just say, listen, like we said, Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. You got to play your schedule. Whoever's on the schedule, whoever's in front of you, you got to knock them off. And in the NBA, hey, on any given night, any team can get knocked off. Now, it's a little bit different in a playoff series, but for a team like the Knicks, I like these games as a measuring stick, as a bar. You went into Milwaukee, you lost a tough game already to kick off the in-season tournament. Go back in there and go get revenge. Go back in there and show your locker room, show your organization that, we can compete with these guys. We're on the level. If we play our A game, we could see them. I like that. I want to see how the Knicks continue to stack up against Milwaukee, against the Celtics. take their lumps and see if they can get through the hurdles. Julius dropped 25 and 20 against the Hornets. Let me see what's going on against a Greek Freak and Lopez and Bobby Portis on Tuesday night. Let me see that same level of effort and intensity, because I want to see the Knicks start to win these games against these upper echelon playoff teams. So I think it's a good measuring stick.
And we're going to see some of the things that we'll see in the playoffs. Like maybe we'll see a shortening of some of the lineups, like a peek into what the coach is thinking for each team. And we saw some playoff stuff with the Bucks, and this is why I thought they were so dangerous. They're starting to get comfortable in end-of-game situations. Now, look, with Drew out and Grayson Allen out, they did sacrifice some of their defense, but I think they're a lot better potentially at late-game situations, and we saw some of that last night. It's almost a peek into the playoffs.
For me, the other thing I would say about this, guys, is that if you're playing a team 5 times, right, before the NBA changed from the first round series to being a 5-game best of 5 to best of 7, this is going back to old school saying, all right, you're going to see this team 5 times. How do you adjust against a good team if you're someone like the Knicks, right? Mm-hmm. So that type of experience, I think, is very serviceable, very, like for a team like the Knicks or anybody else, where it's like, all right, let's see, how do you come back next time? How do you adjust to these type of situations, right? CP always talked about how you like these mini series where you have these back-to-back games, whether it may be back-to-back games the day right next to each other, or you get a break in between. That's playoff type of experience. This is the same thing. 5 times against the Milwaukee Bucks for the Knicks. That's good experience for a team like that.
Yeah. No doubt about it, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. The NBA report in the building. CP the franchise, Alex Chataros, our guy Andrew Saloff, the 1-2 combo, is with us on a Wednesday, recapping a wild night on the in-season tournament, man. Who do you guys think is the favorite to take this thing? On the East, you got Pacers and Celtics. You have Knicks and Bucks. On the West, you got Lakers, Suns. You have Kings and you have Pelicans. Andrew, what do you think, man?
I got the Bucks, man. I got the Bucks.
Okay.
And I think they're starting to come together. It's been some ups and downs. It hasn't been seamless, but from what I just spoke to a little bit earlier, it's like we're seeing what they could be in late game situations. Giannis is rolling a little bit hard, or Dame is getting more comfortable. Middleton getting into his bag a little bit more. I know his minutes have been restricted, but I just think they're even more dangerous than the Boston Celtics in late game situations to me. I believe, and I know this has nothing to do with the in-season tournament, comparing them to the Celtics, but I'm just saying, like, at the end of games, I believe in Dame and Giannis more than Tatum and Brown. I just think this team has a higher ceiling than maybe some people are thinking about because of their ups and downs, but I do believe they'll get it all together in the long run. And we saw some really interesting stuff on the offensive side when it came to coaching and schemes at the end of that game. I'm high on them. I think they win this in-season tournament.
I'm thinking the Celtics, man. I think the Celtics, if you're talking about the East, I think the fact that they can play two-way basketball consistently, I think that's the big thing for me, is that you have Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, KP. Like, offensively, that team 1 through 5, all those guys can score. It's very hard to say who are we going to pinpoint to stop on the offense and on the defensive side. What's the weak point? I mean, maybe you can, if you were going to go traditional and back KP into the paint like a traditional big, but not many people do that. So, like, the rim protection that he can offer the Celtics, I think they're going to be a tough out for the East. They're really good in my eyes. I mean, that's why they're ranked, top, like, that's why they're ranked. Like, if you look at a lot of these power rankings, why they're so high right now on all these lists. But I mean, even when you look at the lineup, it's just an insane lineup that they have right now. The differential that they have is just unheard of. So I'm going with the Celtics.
Yeah. I think I would have to give the Celtics the edge for now. I don't think the Pacers will be able to slow
Not the Knicks, CP.
I'm trying to get to Vegas. I'm trying to get to Vegas, but I'm just going to be realistic. I got to give the Celtics the edge. They've got right now the season lead over the Pacers, over the Knicks, and over the Bucks, having beaten all 3 of those teams. I don't think the Pacers will be able to defend them if the Celtics come with their A game. The Bucks are sneaky. I'm with Andrew on that. And the sneaky part about them is the fact that they're 12-4 and still trying to get it together. They're still one of the best teams in the East while trying to get it together. Dame and the Freak have been stringing together 30-point games. They're starting to get more locked in. You see, I had Chris Middleton step his game up last night in the win against the Heat. I thought he was pretty big in the second half. He finished with 17 points for them. So they're sneaky because with their superstars, they don't necessarily have to have it all together because they can superstar their way into a close game. And then when it gets into crunch time, you got Dame time. You got the Freak who's unstoppable in one-on-one. You got to give them a chance. So I'll go Celtics. I'll put the Lakers up there because with the Suns, number one, who's going to play? Is Kevin Durant even going to play? He's questionable tonight in tonight's matchup with the foot injury. Bradley Beal's probably not going to be around. Let's hope Devin Booker can make it to that game. I think the Suns are still trying to figure that out. I'm going to give the Lakers the edge in that matchup. But the Kings always play the Lakers tough. So can't sleep on the Kings either. But I think the Lakers, I'm giving the Lakers a good chance in the West. Kings second. And in the East, I'll go Celtics and Bucks second.
I'm with you.
I think the C's can take it.
Yeah, I'm with you with the Suns. I don't think chemistry is microwavable, and I do not believe they're legit title contenders, which is always an easy take because 29 teams don't win. But I just think that if they stay together, next year will be the big year for them. I don't think they have enough chemistry to deal with the top teams. And then we got the health thing, right? Like Bradley Beal's hardly playing. Devin Booker's been out a little bit. KD has been out a little bit recently. Can we get all three of those guys together? I do like Eric Gordon. I love that, pickup. But I don't think they're ready this year. I think if they could all keep it together, next year will be their year for legit title contention.
I actually like the Kings out in the West, man. I think they're so dynamic. I'm just watching the team last night against the Warriors, and I think something that other teams don't do as well as running an offense and just getting other guys involved. Like you're seeing how they get Duarte involved, how they get Herter involved. Obviously, they rely on Fox, but then you can you can allow Domantas Sabonis to be kind of that point center that like you see with Jokic, even though he's a lesser version of that. But like I think that is just so difficult to keep up with. And if you get Fox rolling like he was last night, like how do you keep up with a guy with that type of elite
Don't forget
speed?
Monk. Don't forget Monk.
Yo, Monk with the game winner last night. He got the game winner.
And Herter.
Yeah.
Herter had like 21 last night. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Herter.
He's like, I don't know. He's like Klay, but better than Klay right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
we're going to talk about Klay, but I mean, for that team, I like what they offer, man. That entire team, like you just see the chemistry, how anybody can get involved. That's tough to stop. So
yeah.
I'm putting the Kings as my favorite team for the West.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. What do you guys in the chat think? Who's your favorite to win this thing? Leave some comments in the chat. We'll shout you guys out. Shout out Gregory Weiner. He says Lopez will be a problem. Triple M in the building. Salute to Triple M. He says this is the IST report. Let's go. IST. Let's go. Gregory Weiner, Malik Monk, dangerous. My 2 cents says the Lakers, the league fixes in. They'd love Lakers and Celtics, but they'll settle for Lakers and Bucks. Imagine Lakers and Knicks. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, you got a lot of intriguing matchups to go into Vegas with. I mean, look, the Pacers might not ring off the charts. They'll look impressive on the court, but name-wise, they won't bring that name. But if you get like Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Knicks, Lakers, Bucks, Knicks, Suns, Knicks versus anybody. You get Knicks versus Zion and the Pelicans. Might not be the greatest with CJ out and the Pelicans kind of being decent, but you got some potential, especially when you have LA, Boston, and New York vying for this thing. I think that's a good look for the league. Definitely.
Yeah, and we'll see Zion and Halliburton and more playoff type situations because we haven't seen them in the playoffs yet. So yeah, it's really fun from every angle.
And look, see, if you talk about the market teams and the small teams or the up and coming stars, this could be a preview for an NBA Finals game, especially with some of the teams in the mix right now. I mean, Lakers, imagine you get that matchup you talk about, Celtics and Lakers. That could be a potential finals. You talk about how the Kings are playing right now, Celtics and Kings, Milwaukee and Kings, Milwaukee and Lakers. That could be a potential type finals matchup. Andrew shaking his head like, not the Kings yet. I can see it.
No. Actually, no, I'm with you with the Kings. I'm with you with the Kings. Like, I love the Kings. I think they're I don't think anybody wants to play them. The way the ball movement is, the top end talent, as you said, Sabonis is like their light Jokic. De'Aaron Fox is trending towards superstardom, and Kevin Huerter's that movement shooter that fits so well with other stars. I think they're phenomenal. They're very like Warriors influenced, in my opinion. Like I think they took a lot of what the Warriors did, but they just have younger players. So over a 7-game series, man, they could bring it every single night, just giving you all of that offensive firepower over and over and over again. If somebody beats them, it's going to take a lot of energy on that defensive side. I'll tell you that.
That's that Mike Brown influence from being with the Warriors for so long. You see,
that's true. That's true. 100%.
True indeed. True indeed, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Another edition of the NBA Report. CP the Franchise, Alex Rataros, Andrew Salop in the building. Remember that today's show is presented by PrizePicks, guys. Go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code MBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks. Daily fantasy made easy. Now, we did play on Monday night, and it was a mixed bag for me on Monday. I went with a 5-pick flex pay with one of my locks of the night being Tyrese Maxey, and he went for over 26.5 with the Lakers against the Lakers, more than 26.5 against the Lakers. I did like Anthony Davis in this game against the Sixers with more than 23.5 points, and he fell short with just 17. Another one of my locks of the night fell a little short, man. I had Jaden Ivey with more than 16.5 points against the Washington Wizards. He finished with 15. I did like this Klay Thompson with less than 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and he finished with 22. And I also did like Kyle Kuzma with more than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists in that game, and he finished with 44. So I got 3 out of 5 on the night. Wasn't what I was looking for, but we're going to play again tonight. Stay tuned for the end of the show when we get into our picks of the night. Now, let's talk. So let's go rapid fire through some of these games last night with in-season tournament implications. Number one, you had Milwaukee in Miami vying for that Group B title. No Jimmy Butler, Haywood Highsmith from Miami. And for the Bucks, again, still trying to get it together. You had the Bucks run out to a 15-2 lead, but give credit to the Heat. They definitely had some resiliency in this game, especially with no Jimmy Butler in this game. They had a 40-point second quarter to get them back into things. But in the end, Andrew, as you talked about earlier in the show, the Bucks finding a way to get it done in crunch time. They closed the game on a 16-6 run, going 5 of 6 from the field, 5 of 5 from the line. You had Giannis and Dame combining for 65 points, Chris Middleton 17, Malik Beasley 16, and Brook Lopez 12. And the Bucks win Group B 131-124 over the Heat. Andrew, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, to me, I know everybody's on the Celtics right now. They have the highest ceiling to me in this Eastern Conference, just from what Dame and Giannis and Middleton as a trio could bring to you in late game situations. And then obviously with Dame and the shot clock situations with him and Chris being elite at that. And Dame is even more elite at that than Chris because he could just hit you before the defense is set, right? Logo Lillard. So I think their offensive ceiling is really high, and we got a peek. Like that's why I love the off-season tournament. We got a peek into some playoff situations at the end of the game. I think they're going to be an absolute nuisance, and it's part of the reason why I have them over the Celtics when it comes to who I believe will come out of the East. I just believe in Dame and Giannis more than I believe in Tatum and Brown.
Now, how about you, man?
It's tough to believe in the Bucks for me, man. I think, like, obviously, Andrew, you said everything. Like, they're a very talented team. That defense has got to shape up, man. I mean, the fact that the Heat didn't have Tyler Hero or Jimmy Butler, and you're looking at Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and Josh Richardson in that starting lineup, and this is a game down to the wire. That's tough for me to start believing in the Bucks. Like, do they have the offensive talent in Giannis and Dame? Absolutely. Is Middleton on the back up and up? Absolutely. But for me, that defense has got to shape up because if you can't stop a Heat team without their number one player, that's tough for me to start believing, man. So are they going to be a tough out? Sure. This is where I'm like, for the Knicks and the Bucks competition, like for the upcoming in-season tournament, this is why I'm confident in the Knicks, just because the Bucks are having a difficult time stopping anybody. It's not as bad. It's almost like watching them like the Hawks defense or the Pacers defense. Like,
the Pacers is crazy. The Pacers are so
this is
elite
what I'm saying, man. Like,
so elite on offense and so terrible on defense. It's
I know, but like 124 points for a Miami team without their top guys, that's tough, man. That's rough to watch.
We can't compare it to the Pacers though, Alex. Come on, man. Come on. They still got
I don't know, 124 without their top guys. Their top two guys is screaming that to me.
they still got Brook and Giannis, which have been a part of elite defenses. I think that helps.
Yes.
The Pacers are like Olay.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, the Pacers definition of Matador D, but the Bucks with Giannis being the I guess the jack of all trades for that defense, and Brook Lopez providing that rim protection. Adrian Griffin spoke highly of his contributions last night. I mean, is that going to be enough? We'll have to see. I mean, you're putting a lot of stock in a Malik Beasley, Dame perimeter defense in crunch time. I think that's going to be tough, but like you said, they have the firepower between those guys and the guys with takeover potential where, hey, that might be enough. But that's also the reason why I think it's, again, a tough matchup for the Knicks, because if they have an off night, if Randall doesn't have a good night, they don't win.
Let me ask you guys a question. Would you rather elite offense and good enough defense, or vice versa?
Elite offense, good enough defense.
Yeah, we just saw it with the Nuggets. You know,
yeah.
I think some of these teams with the elite offense definitely have a chance as long as they get everybody to buy in and make it good enough. We've seen the success with the Kings. They're not great. Like, I think they have that chance to be an elite offense. How do we figure out on defense, as you guys are talking about, is definitely the question. But I think they can figure it out. Those guys are smart, veteran players, ready to win now. Obviously, the Celtics defensive ceiling is higher. Like, they got the two best defensive guards probably in the league playing together, right? With
best
White and Drew Holiday, and their two best players are two-way players. So obviously their defensive ceiling is higher, but I kind of like the mold of having elite offense and let's figure it out on defense than vice versa.
Yeah, I have to agree with CP where it's like I would rather have good offense and good enough defense.
Yeah.
But it's still like, the thing is, man, like, it's the crucial stops. And I know defense is all about effort at the end of the day. Look, if the Bucks can figure it out, they're going to be a top team. But if you got to think about the Celtics, who, Andrew, just point, like, their defensive ceiling is just high. You know, the question for the Celtics is, can Tatum and Ken Brown both show up at the same time and galvanize the troops and really come through in the end? We haven't seen that yet. Outside of Jaylen Brown during the finals and some of the playoffs, and Tatum did for part of the playoffs last season. But I hear you.
And I feel like things look more seamless when Porzingis is their number two guy on offense. And I love Jaylen Brown, but like, it feels like that's the better fit with Tatum from what I'm seeing this season. Like, like on offense, it just feels like everything comes together where Porzingis is hitting on all cylinders.
I mean, now you're just gonna get some Celtics fans angry.
Yeah, man. No, definitely. I get fans get angry at me all the time. It's all right, man. It's all good.
for sure, man. But yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think it's gonna be their defense and the health of Chris Middleton to me that will really determine their ultimate fate. And again, if Giannis and Dame get it together offensively, like they did last night. I mean, you had 33, 10, and 5 for Giannis, 3 steals, a block, 11 to 16 shooting. You had Dame 9 of 18 from the field, 4 of 9 from downtown, 10 for 10 from the stripe, 32 points, 9 assists. That's a lethal combo to stop that.
Combo. I like how you use the word combo there. So like with Dame playing like this, if we see this in the playoffs from Dame, every sports show is going to be talking about Dame over everybody. Like, he has a chance to have some huge moments in the playoffs, even though he's not being talked about much in the regular season. I could see him exploding and taking it to a new level.
True indeed. And then for the Heat, you had, again, no Hero, no Butler, but you had Bam doing Bam things. 31 points, 10 boards, 5 assists for Bam, just doing everything he could for the team. Kyle Lowry with an efficient night, 21 points, 6 dimes. So Lowry, you had Josh Richardson with 20 and 7 as well. And then you had off the bench 14 points for Caleb Martin. And the guy I like, man, this Jaime Jaquez Jr. out of UCLA, 14 points, 6 assists, 7 to 9 from the field. I like him off the bench for Miami, man. I talked about him in the past. Scrapper, upperclassman, comes in, plug and play, ready to go. And he's tough, man. He plays physical and he plays with a high motor. You know, I watched him when they came to the Garden against the Knicks. And the entire first half, I don't think he scored maybe more than 2 points. He might have been like 1 for 6 from the field, but he kept coming. And he never lost confidence in his game. And I'm watching him. Then in the second half, he starts turning up. And he's relentless on his attack. I just like the way he plays at the edge that he plays with. And he finished last night with 14-6. So for Miami, no in-season tournament for them. And they finished tonight at 10-8.
For Jaime Jaquez, man, I think the thing that I like is just his high IQ. Like he's such like a Heat prototypical type player, has the high IQ, the toughness, and that's for a rookie coming off the bench, giving you that type of production early in your career. That's a great selection. And for a guy like, because you got to think like Jovic is someone that they wanted to be like Jaime, right? To be in that role already, but Jaime's already doing that. So if Jovic can figure it out, man, they got two guys who could play on the wing. That'll be lethal.
Yeah, definitely two guys that could play on the wing. Jokic could even play like your 5 in certain situations, like a small ball 5. He got some nice size to him. With Jaime, he's like a complete player. Like he doesn't have too many weaknesses. Is he elite in anything? Maybe not. But as CP said, he's relentless and he's just a complete, really good basketball player.
True indeed, man. Now, the other game of the night that I really wanted to highlight was the Sacramento and Golden State in Sacramento. Kings fans want to light the beam. The in-season tournament, Group C on the line. And you had the Dubs leading by as much as 24 points in this game. This game was crazy. Dubs was leading by as much as 24. You had CP3 leave the game with a leg injury. Gary Payton II would also leave this game with an injury. And this thing got so chaotic in the fourth quarter. First of all, third quarter, you had Sacramento with a 40-point third quarter to get themselves back into the game. And then in the fourth quarter, you had so much ebbs and flows, man, where Steph would have his moments. You had Malik Monk having his moments going off in the fourth quarter, ultimately winning the game on a crazy, crazy shot. You had the battle between Moody and is it Vasenko? Vasenko, who's on the Kings? What's this guy's name, number 7 on the Kings?
Vasenko. Yeah, he can shoot.
Fearless. And then you had Fox do this thing. The crowd is going crazy. Draymond's going crazy. He's wilding out. I think, bro, there was a stretch where, Draymond, he flops. He gets the flop, then gets like a technical foul, then gets injured. And then Steve Kerr yanks him out the game. The game was chaotic, man, but ultimately Sacramento wins this thing 124-123. Andrew, what'd you think about this game, man?
You know, I think I've talked about this before. 24 points in the modern game is not much, and especially when you're playing with the team like the Kings versus the Warriors, where they're just getting up and down, shooting a whole bunch of threes, not elite on defense. So it didn't surprise me that the Kings came back because they're just younger. They have more energy. I know Chuck talked about how they're cooked and they're old. I don't think they're cooked. I do think they're old, and the Kings have more energy than them and are a lot younger, especially when it comes to their top end talent. And then Monk calls game at the end to light the beam. What a game, man. That was fun. They played game 7 last year, so they had some of that energy rubbing off on this game. The in-season tournament has been great, as we talked about, but what a game. Monk calls game, and there you have it.
I mean, how do you not? This is where the in-season tournament is so fun, right? Because you're bringing in old previous season drama to this season, right? I mean, you had that with the Knicks and the Heat on Friday, where it's like, all right, these two teams are meeting up for the first time. We know how that season ended for the Knicks. They was in game 6 to the Miami Heat, right? You had Brunson throw up 40 points, but yet the Heat were able to win in advance. Now you have the Knicks who are playing for their in-season tournament hopes, right? Because they could have lost that game and been out. And you see how that storyline's written. Now you get the same situation between the Kings and the Warriors. This is why it's so much fun. But last night, man, you had Fox, you had Monk, you had all these guys just going off in the fourth quarter, which you really needed to keep up with Steph Curry, because he's the only guy that's really playing right now for the Warriors, man. And I think if you look at the Warriors at this point, Andrew, to your point, as you mentioned, they are old, But is the dynasty over? Is the dynasty over for this team? Because, Klay's not really being Klay. Wiggins is struggling. Draymond's not giving you the offense that he used to give you when this team was running. And now you're just relying on Steph, and you're hoping that Steph can, for me, I thought Steph had to drop 40 last night in order for that team to win. That's really what needed to happen.
Yeah, I could imagine it getting better than this, but I don't think they're going to win a championship this year. And as I said earlier, that's always an easy take. 29 teams don't win, but I don't really see them beating some of these teams in a 7-game series over the course of time. Do I believe they get better over the course of the season? Absolutely. I think Wiggins plays better. He had a good night last night.
He had a great night.
Yeah, I think Klay gets better, even though he's getting some scrutiny from the media, and I know we're going to get into that eventually. But these guys are going to get better. Steph is still playing at an all-time level. He's incredible. Draymond obviously has to calm it down a little bit. I think they get better, but I don't have them in that legit title contender mold as of right now.
Death of a dynasty, man.
Ooh.
It's always a difficult process to unwind. The death of a dynasty. We've seen it through sports. It's always tough. And the issue with the Warriors, I said this a couple shows ago, the issue is that they've committed to the older guard. It's a battle between the young and the old. They've committed to the older guard for the sake of winning now, to keep their window open, their title contender window open. They got CP3. They have Steph. They brought Draymond back for the contract extension. What happens with Klay, we'll see. But they've locked in with these guys right now. But now, again, last night, perfect example. Fourth quarter, Moses Moody is cooking last night. I mean, this is Arkansas, Moses Moody. He's cooking 11 points in the fourth quarter. 11 points in the fourth quarter. He's the hottest player on your team, and he's nowhere to be found in crunch time. You brought Klay back into the game. Klay went 1 for 5 in the second half in this thing. And that is the problem. They are the politics now in staying loyal to their old guard is clouding Steve Kerr's judgment. What did he say after the game? He said, well, I had to bring Andrew Wiggins back in, which, yes, Andrew Wiggins is the most important two-way player on their team. Do we agree on that? Most important two-way player on the team. Mm-hmm. You got to bring him in there. And he was hot last night. Definitely deserved it. You need his defense. But Moody was one of your hottest players on the team, cooking in the fourth. Him and Vasenko going shot for shot. And then you look, he's nowhere in the game, and it's Klay Thompson in the game. That's what I mean. They're stuck between the young and the old. And there's maybe a possibility where Kuminga and Moody are not yet ready to take over the reins, right? But that's where the challenge lies, because you've committed to the older guys who are here to win. But they may not be on a night in and night out basis outside of Steph. They might not be the best options to win you the game.
Yeah, I mean, and it also benefits your future to play the young guys, right? If we want to look past the Steph Curry era. And I think that's part of the reason why they're going so hard with the veterans. They probably believe for this year that gives them to have these guys together in sync, in chemistry for the playoffs, gives us our best chance to win a championship this year. What they're doing with those guys is not good for their future, though, because we want to see these guys develop. So it all depends on what you want to do. But to your point, CP, maybe it's better for this year and the future to play Moody and Kuminga more,
They should. I mean, look, if Steph still has it, he's still a top talent in this league, okay? If I'm Kerr, if I'm the Warriors, I'm looking at Moody. I'm looking at Kuminga. I'm looking to get all these guys as much minutes as possible, because I think you have to identify the situation now before it's too late. Look, Moody's in the third year of his contract. He's going to be RFA next year. You want to make sure that you know what you have in these guys and that you're not either overpaying or you're losing them because somebody else sees what you don't see in them yet. So, are the Warriors going to win a title this year? No, but they're in a position right now where you paid these guys where you have to try to compete. I mean, you went out and got a Chris Paul, which, if you're trying to make a push on paper, looks great. But then if you're thinking about the competitiveness of this team, how is it that every time it comes to an important situation, playoffs, and now even in-season tournament, hopes on the line, Chris Paul gets injured? This is, if you're the Warriors, you just got to figure out, all right, we got to figure out how to trade Chris Paul right now. And no, I'm serious. I think they should just pivot and get these guys ready.
But
I think
who could they get for Chris Paul right now?
I don't think they were going to get anything for Chris Paul. But I think if you're smart and the Warriors, like, you got a future right here where Kerr is struggling to get these young guys minutes, and I think that's the best for your team rather than saying let's keep chugging along. Where look, Draymond got suspended. You know, you're missing time with him. They struggled during that time period. Now it's like, all right, well, we see that Moody's here, but hey, Klay's got that contract. We got to figure this out and see if we can get these guys right. For me, I think like maybe you got to recognize the situation because I don't see like the dynasty is coming to an end. It's tough to watch all of this. If you're the Warriors, you got to move. I will say this though, Bob Myers, good for you, man, because talk about a way to exit where it's like
he saw it,
built a championship. We did it. I got out. Now it's the next GM's problem. And because he doesn't adhere to the whole situation, like, why did he make this offseason sign? Now it's Dunleavy. And it's like, well, Dunleavy just entered. He's got to now fix it, try to figure out the situation. This is his team to work with. What a way to exit.
You know, when he went on like a podcast tour, you know it was over. You know.
Yeah, he was out of there. He was out of there, man. But you know, on the CP3 topic, this is why I say like they're committed to that older guard. But you have guys now with durability questions. CP3, Steph has it now. Draymond, is Draymond's antics worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze anymore? Well, I mean, you watching him melt down in the middle of that game last night, and Sacramento just in their composure, just taking it to these guys. Like, I'm not sure if the antics is worth it if he's not contributing much more on the court. They've got to figure that part out. And then, you know, there's a over-reliance on Stephen Curry, where who is going to establish himself as a true number 2 option consistently? Could it be Wiggins? Is Klay going to find it? I mean, that's left to be determined. I don't see it that way, but I think that's why they're in trouble. And then also they got to take care of the ball. They gave up 26 points off of turnovers last night. You know, just sloppy basketball. You know, you're not going to win too many games like that. So they're just not crisp, and they got to get it together, man. Yeah, Draymond with 4 turnovers. Steph Curry led the way with 5, 3 for Wiggins, 3 for Klay. It's not crisp.
Yeah, I mean, to your guys' point, like health is a huge issue, and even if they are healthy, how does CP3 and Draymond on the offensive side make sense when you're playing a team like the Kings? How does CP3 and Steph Curry guard De'Aaron Fox in transition? Like the fit was never really ideal, and with the health problems, it makes everything even more complicated. And then on top of it, with the Draymond antics, it's just crazy.
But the thing is too, bro, is that with the politics, you're committing to these guys. You're committing to putting CP3 in that closing lineup if he's playing in this game. You're committing to putting Klay out there. What's Steve Kerr say? I wanted to get my vets in there. What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? He kept it a beat. It's politics with this thing. Yeah. That's a dangerous road to ride on, but we'll see how it plays out, man. But not to dim the light of the Kings, because they did light the beam last night. I mean, they scored damn near 70 points in the second half on this team. You had De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk going crazy. We talked about Vasenkov. I mean, how many big shots has Malik Monk hit for the Kings since getting there last year, man? Incredible. But
fan favorite. Yeah.
Fan favorite. I mean, talk about going from the depths of hell.
Yeah.
where we spoke that Charlotte, Jordan slapping him around like, yo, you little knucklehead kid. And now he goes to the Lakers first, right? And who gets you right but LeBron James? Just look at it. He got JR and Shump right. He's got Monk right. He had Cam Reddish playing right before he got hurt. You know, all those guys who had those questionable maturity issues as young rooks coming up. Mm-hmm. As soon as they go through LeBron James and his winning ways, they turn that thing right around, man. That's what Malik Monk is at right now.
You're totally right. That's why they brought in C. Wood. They believed in that LeBron effect with C. Wood. So LeBron does have that effect on players that we definitely saw with JR and a slew of other guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like Monk's game, man, and him being that guy off the bench for the Kings he's just electric, man. It's nice to have the reunion of De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk as a backcourt, right? They're closing the game. That's just phenomenal. They were, man, the Kings team is just fun, guys. Like, I love everything that they do. It's just like you saw that last season and how they made noise last year. They're showing again that they're a legitimate team. You get De'Aaron Fox back off an injury, and they're just looking as dominant as possible. And the only question that I have for this team moving forward is, how far can you go with Sabonis as your 5? Because he's undersized, great passer. But when you think about the rest of the bigs you got to compete with in that conference, you think about Jokic, you think about Anthony Davis, you think about now the Timberwolves, where you have Cat, you have Gobert, you got Naz Reid. Like, how far can they actually go if they're not putting up like 130 points on a nightly basis and shooting like 50% from the field, 40% from downtown? That's what you're going to need from them in a 7-game series. We saw how difficult it was for them last season against the Warriors. That's my only question. I love the pairing of Fox and Sabonis, but I wonder do you move? Because I also know they got Murray out there too, who I love on the team as well.
Yeah.
What do you do with Sabonis? It's a really good combo they got with Fox and Sabonis, but what do you do moving forward? Because that height at the center position in that conference may hurt you.
Yeah. Even against like the Lakers, right? If AD and LeBron are healthy, I mean, they punish teams in the paint when they don't have enough. You know, we saw it in the bubble.
Have effective enough size, and I think they're going to fall into the same category as the Pacers. In that, I just don't think defensively they're going to be strong enough to really make a difference out west. But offensively, they're certainly clicking. Now, another storyline coming out of this game: Klay Thompson talking to the media. As I mentioned, Klay Thompson went, I believe, 1 for 5 in the second half of this game. He went, let me just double check real quick. 1 for 5. Went 1 for 5 in the second half of this game. Finished shooting 6 of 14 with 20 points. The media, he sat down with the media and was asked about his lackluster play, man. Here was Klay Thompson. Here was his response.
Things like patience and time to find yourself. I think history is on our side when it comes to that stuff.
You say that? Have you heard people say that, or
No, I don't care what people say. Like, they don't do what we do. They can't do what they do. That's why they talk. Why would I? Like, come on. I don't care what people say at this point in my life. Next question.
Next question, says Klay. Now, this was courtesy of First Take. Here was Stephen A. Smith's response. Let's hear what Screamin' A had to say, and then we'll respond to it on the other side. Here he is at 118 mark. Here's Stephen A.
Who religiously shoots better than 40% from 3 throughout his career, is shooting 40% from the field, 36% from three-point range. And by the way, that's an improvement. You've been playing like hot trash. That is the bottom line. We expect better from Klay Thompson. We know what kind of a champion he is. And with respectfully, what he said right there before the game last night is a flat-out cop-out. That's about you not owning up to the fact that you're not doing the kind of things we know you can do, we know you're capable of doing, and you're just trying to shrug it off like you don't give a damn. Maybe you should give a damn. Because the Klay Thompson that I know that did give a damn plays better when he cares. And it's not to even imply that he doesn't care. It's just to say that, yo, you shouldn't be uttering stuff like that out of your mouth when you playing like hot trash. Last night he did it. He had a decent first half. Ended up him and Steph Curry only combined for like 4 of 14 shooting and 2 of 9 from three-point range in the second half. But damn, all of the praise, all of the adulation, all of the love that you received all of these years, the second you're struggling, now you don't care about what people think, maybe you should.
All right, that was Stephen A. Saying maybe you should care. I mean, look, on the Klay thing, I don't think it's him not caring. Look, he's 33 years old, off 2 major surgeries, having the worst shooting numbers of his career. Yes, it's early, but I think Klay Thompson's comments to the media was more of a defense mechanism. It's difficult for stars to handle their decline, which we have to admit that he is. Right? Like, is there a chance that Klay Thompson comes back and plays well? Sure. Is he ever going to be prime Klay, like a two-way force, a two-way bucket that he was back in his heyday? No, obviously not. Those days are gone. Even without the injuries, you would have to expect a gradual decline. But with those two major injuries and watching him over the years, you can tell he's just not the same player. So I don't think, what Stephen A is saying, well, he should care what people think. No, I don't necessarily think so. I think it's just a defense mechanism in terms of how he's handling his struggles. But look, he did his days, man. Klay had a great career. The injuries cut it short, unfortunately. He can still be a productive player, but people still looking for prime Klay. Like, he's gone.
And I don't think I think to Stephen A's point, it's not that he doesn't care about playing and stuff like that. He did say that in the clip, but I think CP, to your point, is how Klay should care in changing and adapting his role instead of being that guy that was that number 2 guy, right? Next to Steph Curry, like, because he's on the decline and you're just looking at some of the numbers as you go through, like how he started the season and stuff like that. He's just not shooting at that high rate that he once was. I mean, he's shooting, as Stephen A said, 40% from the field, 36% from three, that's down numbers for Klay. Klay is known to do much better than that. But I think for him, it's like, how do you care in adapting your game or maybe even your role on the team to help them be better? Is it, going to Kerr saying, you know what, maybe I do come off the bench because I'm not that guy anymore. Maybe we should think about giving Moody that type of promotion and let him get that experience and let me come off the bench and see if I can just take down second units. Because CP, I mean, I watched that give and go from Klay, and I think it was Draymond in the right corner last night. Klay was moving like he was in molasses, dude. Like, that layup, I was like, he got the layup, but that was sad. That was sad. And not that Klay was a burner of any sorts, but he used to move much faster than that. And to see him on the decline now, it's just hurting the Warriors and where the direction that they should be going, because you got Steph Curry there who's still playing like he's in his prime. I think that's what Stephen A is trying to get at.
Stephen A said that he should start caring, but Klay was talking about it in the context of he doesn't care what the media thinks, not
Right.
that he doesn't care about basketball or how he's playing. So to start caring, are you saying start caring about what Stephen A. Smith is saying, or are you saying start caring about basketball?
Yeah, he's saying he should care what people think. And I'm like, why would he have to care what people think? He's got 4 rings. Like, he's done his time. And if it's just not there, it's just not there. Obviously, he wants to play better. And, for Al, you're saying, well, maybe he should adjust to a new role. I'm not sure they could afford for him to just adjust and kind of dial it back a little bit and get used to who he is. They need him to be who he once was, in my opinion, for them to get back on top. Like I said, I just feel like there's an over-reliance on Steph Curry to be great, and Steph himself is getting knick-knack injuries as the years progress. Take a look now. Steph is getting banged up here and there. So it's just a challenge here, man. This is a challenge. And he's staring at a new contract. Will it be with the Dubs? Right? There's some money on the line for Klay here. This is it. Is he going to be in that 20, 30, 40 echelon? Not like this. You know what I'm saying? Dunleavy Jr. ain't giving him the bag. Or is he looking at, like, the new mid-level?
Yeah. I mean, this is where, like, look, I know the money is on the table for Klay and stuff like that, but if you're the Warriors, what are you going to do? Just say, all right, we're going to hope that Klay figures it out and keep moving forward. Like, we don't see anything. Everything's fine here. Everything's burning down in flames. Or do you say, you know what? We got to figure out how do we adjust. And that's where I say maybe Klay off the bench is something, because you can either just keep going the same way and just watch this team fail or not achieve the level that you expect that he can, or you adjust mid-season and say, you know what, let's pivot to a different direction and still try to be competitive, still usher our guys that we respect for what they've done for this team and move on. But if you're going to say, hey, we're going to expect that Klay's going to bounce back, could he get better? Sure. Is he going to be prime Klay? No. Is he going to be even the Klay that you got when they won the 4th championship? Maybe. But I think you got to make that adjustment right now if you're the Warriors. That's an internal conversation they need to have.
So you're not a believer that Klay could get to a level where he could help them win a championship as a starter? Like, it's you feel like it's over for that?
I think as being like a top 2 guy, top 3 guy, yeah, I think it's over for that. I think he could be a supporting cast member at this point, but if I don't think he's going to, like, look, even when we watched the finals, it was Steph and it was Wiggins. Wiggins was that number 2 guy that really helped win them that championship. Like, we just have enough evidence over that since that time that Klay can't do that. So I just don't see how at this point, after they won championship about 2-3 years ago, that we're now expecting that Klay's going to get into that same form again a few years after that. That's just, for me, that's tough.
Yeah, I think Klay gets better. And you mentioned Wiggins. I mean, Wiggins had a great game last night, but that's a whole other issue. Like, there's reports saying that he really didn't come in the best of shape. And we already talked about like CP3 and Draymond, acting crazy, and Klay's problems. Like, Wiggins definitely has to be, he probably has to be better than what he was when they won a championship, as him being that guy, right? Like, with everybody declining a little bit. So that's a whole other issue right there. Yeah, man, they got a tough road ahead of them.
True indeed, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Another edition of the NBA Report. CP, Alex, and Andrew in the building. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag. New, we'll shout you guys out. Definitely salute to Team KFTV, who is in the building, watching and supporting. All right, next topic, man. Mark Cuban selling the Dallas Mavericks. Cuban selling a majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks to Sheldon Adelson and Miriam Adelson, the family of Miriam Adelson and the Adelson empire, who has the Sands casino operation. So Cuban is going to sell his stake. He bought the Mavs for $285 million. He bought it in January 4th, 2000, bought it from Ross Perot and sold it for $3 billion. So talk about a flip. Talk about a flip. 20-year flip, man. 285 turn into $3 billion. There you go. And still going to be running the daily operations. So he cashed out, still the face of the organization, still front row seats, still talking trash. That's a great deal. I mean, I don't know. You can't even beat that deal on Shark Tank. That's a great deal.
Yo, was Ross Perot the one that said, "Read my lips, no new taxes"?
Was that Perot? Was that Reagan?
It was one of them.
I don't know. I don't remember. Al, this is before your time, man. I don't know.
Oh, good God. Here we go again.
I think it was Ross. Was it Ross Perot? I don't remember.
We got to figure that out.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So Cuban sells. I think there was a lot of shock. A lot of people didn't think that would happen. But
hey, you had Clyde and Mike Breen shocked on the Knicks broadcast.
You had Clyde. They were shocked. I didn't get that part.
Yeah, Clyde actually was like, you heard that Cuban's selling the Mavs, and Breen was like, wait, really? Like, Breen had like a high pitched voice. He was shocked to even hear that type of news. I forgot if they clarified that it's just a majority stake at the ownership, but Breen was shocked because he learned about that right on the airwaves as the game was happening.
Interesting. Andrew, your thoughts?
I mean, it's a win-win, right? He still keeps control of the team and he gets the bag. So, kudos to him, man. I mean, what more can I say? Guy gets the bag. He loves basketball. Obviously, he still likes going out on the court and shooting jumpers. I mean, it's truly his passion. He gets to stay around the game. And he becomes more liquid in the process, way more liquid. So kudos to him, shouts to him. I think it's a win-win move on his part.
Yeah, a lot of people are wondering what's next for him. Is he going to run for president? He also announced that he's stepping away from Shark Tank after this season, so he's done with Shark Tank. Gave up most of the Mavs. It's going to be interesting. How long will he stay on as the operations head, because he did hire Nico Harris. He hired Nico Harris. He hired Cynthia Marshall as a CEO when there was a lot of allegations and accusations about workplace harassment and toxic environment and things like that. So he did hire Cynthia Marshall to clean things up. So it seemed like from the business side, he was already delegating some responsibilities. And now he's selling to Adelson. Now Adelson has the casino empire. There's also rumors that Cuban wants the next Mavericks arena to be built around the casino and resort. Everybody's, gambling is the wave. Everybody's tapping in and trying to get that coin. So maybe this is more of a strategic partnership down the road.
I think to your point, CP, I mean, he's going to have some ownership of the Mavs still. He's just selling a majority of it, right?
Yeah.
So, this is typically like what organizations do, where it's like you go from owner to consultant and then you just walk away from it. I think this is just like an easy this is just a transition where he'll still get paid unless he really wants to stay involved with the Mavericks for that long. But I think from what I'm seeing right here, the Adelson is going to either own somewhere between 51 to 57% of the team. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see how it goes moving forward. But hey, I wish I could be Mark Cuban right now. Sheesh. That's a flip.
So that is a flip, man. An absolute flip.
It's interesting you mentioned presidency because that means you're the face of America. And I always felt like he wasn't your traditional governor in the NBA. Like, he always wanted to be in front of cameras. He's always doing podcasts. He's done Shark Tank. I think he's a guy that likes being in the public eye. So I kind of see that presidency making sense, and it might fit his personality even more than being like a governor of an NBA team, right? Where you're always speaking to the public. So I could definitely see that. He's a guy that always wanted to be in the limelight.
And he's gotten a lot of love because he's open to talking to the media, right? I mean, we can look at the Knicks ownership, James Dolan, where he gets a lot of negative light because he doesn't like to talk to the media. He's very aggressive where it comes to drawing a line to how they can cover any of his teams. But you look at Cuban, he's always open to talk to anybody, even through all the allegations that happened with the Dallas Mavericks. He's always been front and center and willing to talk about it. Yeah, Andrew, I agree with you. I think that kind of fits his personality with what he likes to do.
All right, next topic, fellas. Prize picks time. Our picks of the day. Once again, the NBA report is presented by PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Go to PrizePicks.com or use the link below, or use promo code. Well, go to PrizePicks.com. Use promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. You can also use the link below. And with PrizePicks, you have the opportunity to win 25 times your money, and all you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players. You have a number of sports that you can choose from, and now you have, with PrizePicks, you have a number of stats that you can choose from, and all you're going to do is predict whether that player will score more or less on that given stat number in a given night. That's all. More or less in your prediction. You pick between 2 to 6 players, and that's that. And you watch the money come in. Now, here's where I'm going tonight, fellas. Here's where I'm going tonight. I'm doing a 5-pick flex play. I'm going with Tyrese Maxey, man. More than 26.5 points. Maxey is on a heater right now. The Pelicans have no answer for opposing point guards. That is green light for me. And I'm going with Maxey with more than 26.5 points. Speaking of teams having trouble with opposing point guards, the Lakers. And for that reason, I'm going with Cade Cunningham with more than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists against the Lakers. Cunningham has hit that number in he's hit it in 3 out of his last 5 games and came close in 4. So Cade is riding hot right now. I'm going with Cade Cunningham with more than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. In this same game, Detroit having trouble guarding everybody. So I'm going with Anthony Davis with more than 24 points against Detroit. I tried to get that number with him against the Philadelphia Sixers. He fell a little bit short. I'm going with 80 to get that number, more than 24 points against the Detroit Pistons. I'm going with Eric Gordon with Phoenix visiting Toronto. I'm going with Eric Gordon with more than 2.5 3-pointers made. He's been averaging about 6 3-point attempts over his last 5 games. Kevin Durant still being questionable in this game, and if he is, I think Eric Gordon is going to be relied upon for some scoring, with Devin Booker being given the point guard duties. So I'm going with Eric Gordon with more than 2.5 threes made. And then my final pick, I'm always going against the Wizards, man. I think that's a good play. And I'm going with Jalen Suggs with more than 15.5 points and assists with Orlando at home against the Washington Wizards, man. Washington having trouble with opposing shooting guards. Opposing shooting guards have had their way with the Washington Wizards, and I'm going with more than 15.5 points and assists for Jalen Suggs in this one. Al, how you looking tonight?
All right, so this is what I got for prize picks tonight. First thing I'm going to mention is Kevin Huerter. I like him on the Kings. I think he's obviously a good three-point shooter. He puts up a lot of them. I took him for more than 7 3-pointers made. They're going against the Los Angeles Clippers tonight. I like that high-powered offense that the Kings have. I think he's going to get more than the 7 attempts that PrizePicks has put up here. The next player I'm going to go with is Desmond Bane. I chose him for less than 19 field goals attempted just because over the last couple of games, he's been averaging somewhere between the 12 and the 16 mark against Utah earlier in the season. He didn't make that 19 field goal attempt threshold, so I'm going to go there as well. Domantas Sabonis going back to the Kings. Are playing against the Clippers. I like him in this matchup where he's going to be. I like him as a facilitator. I think he's going to get more than 7 assists tonight. Then I'm going to the Rockets and the Nuggets rematch. We know Sengun was able to get over 20 points the last time. I took him for more than 20.5 points going against Nikola Jokic. And then for Jokic, who had a stellar game against the Rockets last time, I chose him for more than 48.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So that's what I got for my prize picks for tonight.
There we go. Andrew, how you looking tonight?
I got 5 picks going on. Prize picks. Asar Thompson. I'm going to go more than on 11.5 points. The Lakers have been known to fall asleep on defense, and I think they'll coast through this game. He'll get some garbage points. I think he'll hit at least 1 3. And I think he's been having a fantastic season on the defensive side. And I do believe on the offensive side, he will score more than 11.5. Jaden Ivey, I'm going less than. I think his minutes have been spotty, and you never know how much he's going to play. So I will go less than 16 points for Jaden Ivey. I'm going to go Franz Wagner and Cole Anthony more than, because as you mentioned, CP, the Washington Wizards defense is not good. Hopefully they don't clap them too bad where they sit these guys at the end, right? That could be a whole
facing the blowout factor, especially the way Orlando's playing.
Yeah, but Franz has been great, and obviously Cole had a 30-point game not too long ago. He's been great off the bench. Jordan Poole, everybody's low on him, but I still appreciate his skill level, just his pure skill level as a basketball player. The projection is 17.5. I think he will get more than that. And there you go. Shouts to PrizePicks. We're here.
There you go, man. And once again, go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match up to $100, or you can hit the link below. As we wrap the show, fellas, let's get into our power rankings, man. Real quick, rapid fire. Al, who's your top 5 this week, going into this week, man?
All right, going through the top 5 in the NBA, who I got. Number 5.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me right now, the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Orlando Magic. I have them at number 5 just because of how they're doing so well in the East right now. They're 12-5 on the season, and they're defeating some top dogs in the league. I mean, they defeat the Nuggets, they defeated the Celtics, and they defeated the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a real team. I like the youth. I think they're on the up and up. I got them at number 5. Number 4 is the OKC Thunder. They're still rolling right now. I like what they've been doing. They're 11-6 on the season. I'm going to have them at 4. Number 3, got to give respect to the Denver Nuggets because they are still the reigning champs. Some may think they should be number 1. I got them at number 3 because I still need to see them healthy with Jamal Murray when he gets back and see what that team looks like. Number 2, I got the Boston Celtics just because of how that starting 5. Talked about it last week. They're a monster. I like the way that they're able to play both off on the offensive side and defensive side. And then number 1 for me is the Minnesota Timberwolves. That defense is legit. I know Ant-Man got hurt yesterday, but based until what we've seen up to today, I like how that team plays. And when he gets back, man, that team's just a force to be reckoned with. So that's my top 5 right there.
Andrew, how you looking?
So as much as I want to have OKC and the Magic in the top 5, I don't. I love those teams. I got to say that. I have Bucks coming in at number 5. Love what they did for everything I talked about earlier. I think You know, they're getting better and better in late game situations, and they're going to start to figure things out moving forward. The Nuggets are trending downwards, but I do still think they have the best chance this year to win an NBA championship when Jamal Murray returns. The Sixers trending upwards, and Embiid putting up, you know, it's looking like an MVP season for him. And Maxey has taken another leap. He has been phenomenal. Celtics, you know, everybody knows I'm not the biggest Tatum guy, but, you know, they're undeniable. You can't go wrong with them. And then the Wolves, for everything Alex talked about.
There we go.
There we go. The best defense in the league. You pair that with Anthony Edwards, who has elite skill level, elite athleticism, and an elite mentality.
There we go.
The Wolves at number 1.
My guy Combo's starting to come around on Soda Nation. I like that. I like that, man. Number 5, I'm going with the Bucks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bucks, man. I just think with the Freak and Dame coming alive right now, they're still one of the best teams in the NBA, and they haven't figured it out just yet. And I think that could be dangerous. Now, there's a lot of ifs and question marks, as we talked about in the show, but when I compare them to other teams, they've got that star power that other teams don't. And that's why I got to respect them for the time being. And they seem like they're on an uptick and trending upwards. I'm going with the Bucks at number 5. Number 4, I'm putting some respect on the Orlando Magic's name, man. I think with the win over the Celtics, the win coming off of a win over the champion Nuggets, and now I know that was the week before. I just feel like Orlando's rolling right now. Winners of 7 straight. You got to respect it. One of the best defenses in the NBA right now. Great story. You got Paolo and Franz leading the way. Jalen Suggs is playing healthy right now. They're rolling. They're clicking. I got to put some respect on their name. So I'm going to put them in at number 4. Number 3, I'm going with Philly. For all the reasons that you just said, you have Maxey playing at an unbelievable level, Embiid playing at an MVP level, facilitating very well for that team. I like how that team is rounding out with their depth. And let's see, will Morey go out there and make a move? Let's see what happens. But for right now, I like the way that Philly is moving, and I'm going with them at number 3. Number 2, I'm going with the C's. They remain hot. They remain stellar on both ends of the floor. Let's see what happens in this in-season tournament, but I'm going to go with the C's. And number 1, the Timberwolves, man. I'm going back with the Wolves. As long as you got that top defense, you got Ant-Man running and gunning, and with their best start in, I forgot how long, I got to give them credit for that. I know the Nuggets are the Nuggets, and they will get it back together, but I'm talking about for right now, I can't put them in that top 5 right now. They're still trying to get it together. They get Murray back and start to get through their championship rut. They'll be right there. But for right now, I'm sticking with this 5. Timberwolves, C's, Sixers, put some respect on the Magic right now. And I'm elevating the Bucks. Let's see what happens there, man. Let's see what happens. Anyway, fellas, great show. And phenomenal show, phenomenal in-season tournament recap. Remember that this show is available in audio podcast format, so no reason to miss it. You can catch us on all the major platforms. We'll see you guys on Friday for another big show, so make sure you guys tap into the NBA Report, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And remember that the show's presented by PrizePicks, man. PrizePicks.com, promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. Or you can hit the link in the video description. CP, the franchise, Al Sotaros, Andrew, the 1-2 combo. We out of here, man. Peace.